Hey there. Welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Josh Mansfield, a teacher with the Demon, and with me is Nathan Fox, one of the founders of LSATdemon.com and the weekly podcast Thinking LSAT. Nate, today our email is from Consistency Carrie with the subject of reducing variance.
Why would you want to do that? Law schools only care about your highest score. Variance is your friend. Who cares how much your scores vary? All I really care about is your median and especially the top half of your range, because if you take it 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5 times, only your highest one is going to really be considered by the law schools. So reducing your range is not actually something that you should be thinking about. You should be trying to improve the entirety of the range, but variance is just not something we worry about. Anyway, Carrie says, I've been studying with the Demon since January, and I've gone from a 159 diagnostic to a high score of 178. I took my first official LSAT in April, and I scored a 170. Yeah, I mean, I would just say take it again.
Yeah. Carrie mentions later on, that she's been practice testing between a 169 and a 178. Like that's a little bit wider of a range, but not much. And if you've got the 170, which is the bottom of your range, then variance is just going to help you at this point. Like, go take it again and get on the higher end of your range. I think students who think of this idea of like wanting to eliminate variance are oftentimes focusing on the wrong thing.
Oh, totally. Look, she says later in the email, at the top level of the 170s, is there any way to bring my variance up to the high 170s only? How can I ensure my score stays in the 175 to 180 range? Well, Carrie, you don't have 179s and 180s in your current range. Your problem isn't variance. Your problem is that the top of your range isn't high enough. 178 is a damn good score. It's not a 179 or a 180 though.
Yep.
And so like even on your very best tests, you're still missing questions. So there's still shit that you don't understand about the way this test works. Either that or you've not yet quite learned how carefully you need to read. If you want to cap, if you want to like top out, your variance can narrow once you start to hit the maximum of the range at 180, but you haven't hit that yet. So when you start getting 180s, that's when your variance is going to narrow down, because you're going to have like maxed it out where, you can't go higher than that. So you will start to necessarily limit the top half of your range. And you'll see lots of scores in the high 180s or the high 170s and even a 180. Frequently, I shouldn't say frequently, but every once in a while you see that person with a score record in the Demon where it's like 180, 180, 179, 180, 179, 180, 180. And it's like, yeah, okay, you're ready to take the official test now for sure. I'm not saying you have to get anything close to that, Carrie, because again, variance doesn't matter. Law schools are only going to care about your highest score. The worst law schools are ever going to think of you, Carrie, is already a 170. You've got a 170 on record from April. But the best way to try to get something 175 to 180 on the June test is to just keep learning from your mistakes, keep focusing on accuracy. And if you see your practice test scores start to get into that 175 to 180 range consistently, then you've done what you're trying to do. But it's just not the case that you're looking to decrease your variance. You should just be looking to make fewer mistakes on questions attempted.
Right. It's just accuracy. Like there's no secret sauce that affects variance as opposed to score, right? It's just, do you take, here's the one thing I'll offer. The one thing that if you want to decrease your variance in practice test scores, I remember when I was studying, took a test on a Sunday, sat down, did the test, did it the way I should, scored a 179. I was best score I got at that point. I was over the moon. Next day, I said, you know what? I want to do this again. And I played the practice test score slot machine.
Yep.
And I just took one because I wanted to see another high score. It was after work. I was exhausted. I'd had a bad day at work anyway. Hadn't eaten yet. And I just kind of rushed through and just went and took a test for the sake of taking a test. Scored a 167.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so my question, Carrie, when you're taking these tests, Are you taking them every single week because you just want to see the slot machine pop out the nice numbers? Or are you just taking them and treating them as if they're an official test? And when you do a practice section, are you just doing one question at a time, taking them seriously? Like that's how you reduce your variance. So that's the
Yeah.
only thing I would offer outside of just like keep working at the tests and keep solving problems.
Yeah. Yeah. She says here, kind of strangely, the questions I get wrong tend to be very specific, random questions. Sometimes level 1, sometimes level 5. Specific and random? I mean, I understand that you are missing one question at a time, you and everybody else. But why did you miss them? Like, you're asking the
Oh,
wrong question essentially. She's like, how do I decrease my variance and how do I just get the score?
right.
Well, you do that one question at a time. How did you miss that level 1 question? I'm more interested in the level 1 you missed than the level 5 you missed,
Yeah.
because like you're just not gonna score 180 by missing level 1 questions. Not happening.
Yes.
Okay. So clean up your damn mistakes. And I'm sure that when you go back and review your mistakes, Carrie, you're going to realize, oh, yeah, I see how that other answer is clearly correct. And I also see the fatal flaw with the answer that I picked. Now that I've read it accurately, how could I have picked that answer? Yeah, well, that's not a variance problem. That's just an attention problem. That's not you're not you're not behaving like a lawyer. It's just you're not actually doing it. You're not actually reading it well enough to solve that question. And it might be because you're so intensely trying to chase a 180 that you think you don't have time to invest in that earlier question in the section. I think that's really common that people make mistakes because they try to be perfect, but they're trying to be perfect on the section instead of being perfect on the question that they're actually
Mhm.
doing at the time.
The other thing, Carrie mentions that she struggles specifically with strength and weaken level 5 questions. I'm sorry, but like missing only strength and weaken level 5 questions doesn't get you a 169. That's
Yeah, or
what,
a
two,
170. Yeah,
like
right.
that's 2 questions, 3 questions max. That's a 177.
Right.
Right. If that's all you miss, if that's what you're really struggling with, Carrie, that's a 177. You've missed
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 of them on recent tests. And so you're thinking that's your problem. You need to forget about that. You don't have enough data points to make those kind of assumptions. And even if you did, it doesn't help you solve the idea that you just need to read carefully, solve each question, and you solve level 5 strengthen questions just like you solve level 4 strengthen questions, and level 3 and level 2 and level 1, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So don't go down those
Yeah.
specifics.
Your biggest problem is the easier questions that you're missing. You have to clean up those mistakes. Do fewer questions, but get more of them right. And as far as the your next comment, finding that none of the answers are really good enough, they didn't ask you to pick a perfect answer. They asked you to pick the best answer. And so you're right that sometimes the very hardest questions are strengthen questions where the correct answer just doesn't really help the argument very much. But the other 4 might hurt the argument or be completely irrelevant. And you just have to pick the one that, in some small way, helps the argument. Same thing with a really hard weekend question. The correct answer doesn't have to totally destroy the argument. It might just introduce this sliver of doubt. And the other 4 answers could strengthen the argument or, again, be completely irrelevant. So you're just looking to pick the best answer. And it's probably also the case that the 4 wrong answers just literally don't do what's asked for.
Yeah.
And they might do the opposite of what's asked for.
Right.
So process of elimination is a thing, especially on those very hardest questions. But that's not Carrie's biggest problem. Not when she's scoring a 170. There's too many easy ones that you're missing to score a 170.
Yeah.
Anything more for Carrie?
Nope, that's it.
Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you would like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.